So all week long, we've been working with the four endeavors, the four great endeavors. And today we're going to put it all together. So the four endeavors teach us different ways of using energy wisely in the service of letting go of stress and moving toward ease of well-being. These are not abstract concepts, but specific meditative moves that we can evaluate for ourselves to see if we're moving in that direction of less suffering and more ease of well-being. Make a move and see what the result is. These individual moves are responses to different weather patterns that we will encounter. Think about when you learned to drive a car, for those of you who learned to drive. There were many individual skills that we needed to learn and master enough anyway, so that we could drive safely from one place to the other without hurting ourselves or someone else. We didn't automatically or immediately know how to parallel park or use a stick shift or drive in snow, rain, or sleet. We had to practice, not once, but many times, to feel comfortable enough to pay attention to what was in front of us, to what was on either side of us, to what was in back of us, to monitor the speed, the weather, the traffic, before we could relax back and talk and drive, before we could relax back and listen to a song or sing a song as we're driving. In other words, before we could multitask while doing a complex task like driving. Furthermore, we also had to learn to prepare for the unexpected, the what ifs. You never know when someone is going to cut off in front of you or stop suddenly, or when an accident is going to happen immediately in front of you or behind you. We don't know what is happening in the cars that pass us. Someone could be speeding by, racing to a hospital, for all we know. But we learn to read the signs, not just road signs, but the signs that someone is driving erratically or dangerously, or a car is not acting right. And we heed the signs. We act, we move, we avoid them, we change lanes, we slow down, we speed up to avoid an accident. It's in the moment training. And we're living in good conditions for that kind of practice. Everyday life is great training ground for this. We learn the skills of looking for the signs, of monitoring from all angles to see, so that we can be as prepared as possible for the unpredictable. And having developed a repertoire of skills, on any given drive, we will use a variety of them to safely drive from here to there. Driving is complex, and so it is with meditation. The idea of it seems so simple. Just sit down, be quiet, follow your breath, and train your heart-mind to be more skillful. Well, easier said than done. In actuality, there are a lot of little individual instructions, little individual moves that we need to learn and develop to grow more adept at using them. Though each instruction is simple and straightforward, the task itself takes practice, takes many repetitions of doing and seeing the results to discern how best to apply the skills. When I learned to drive stick shift with my dad, it was one of the hardest, scariest skills for me to ever learn. I was learning how to stop. It was like learning how to stop up the hill, like at a stoplight on a hill. I was so scared that the car was going to roll back and bump into the car behind me. And it took me some time to feel confident that I could learn how to not stall out the car and how to not lurch forward, like how to actually do it gracefully so that I could actually get up the hill and not cause an accident. right? It took a while to trust the ability to coordinate all of these moves with confidence. And that is what we're doing in meditation practice too. We're learning how to make these little course corrections to stay on track. Time, practice, and patience. The three skills for learning any, or three key things for learning any skill. In meditation, there's actually a lot going on, especially at first. And there's a lot of unpredictability. We never know what we'll encounter on the cushion or off the cushion, for that matter. How we meet the unexpected matters. You never know when a storm of memory is going to pass through the mind and it sweeps us off our feet. Well, now what? What do we do? We may suddenly become aware for the first time of the background soundscape in our mind that is constantly yammering at us, critical of us or others. We may unconsciously be in the habit of glossing over or holding on to the difficult feelings. We may have a habit of chasing after good feelings or glossing over them. No, they're not important, right? What's your pleasure? What's your habit? Get to know your habits so you can learn how to respond skillfully. So the 4 instructions with the great endeavors that we were talking about this week, we want to begin to develop these, because these instructions will teach us how to use our energy wisely. So let's just take a step back and think about each of these skills and what they're cultivating. When the wholesome is around, we learn to use our energy in the service of keeping it around. This is different than grasping. It's more like putting wind under our wings. Here we can learn the skills of maintaining and strengthening wholesome mind states. That's a good thing to learn. It's also a protection for the mind. The mind has to cultivate, or as we want the mind to cultivate, as much of a reserve of good feeling so that when the storms come, which they inevitably will, there's enough to balance out the weight of them. There's enough goodwill, enough uplift to hold the suffering that is really present. When the wholesome is not around, we want to learn to use our energy to bring it around. When a child is grumpy or sad or is being careless with how they're attending, we as caregivers are likely to try to cheer them up, to encourage them, to engage them, to help them to take a nap. The remedy depends upon the cause of the distress or the distraction. We have to be nimble with that. Likewise, when our mind is in a bad mood or our attention has grown casual, we have to learn to notice those states and then release them, or know how to bring other more wholesome states forward. Bad moods and casual attention will deplete our energy. Notice this. Our job is to notice, such that we would, just like a child, consider what is needed to uplift or restore the energy and enthusiasm. When the unwholesome is around, find a way to let it go as quickly as possible. Here, we use the energy wisely in the service of doing damage control. But since we often can't just drop it, we have to learn all the moves that we can to contain it, to restrain it, to refrain from feeding these harmful mind states any further. And finally, when the unwholesome isn't around, isn't present, hasn't arisen, we learn to not invite it in. to not reawaken old grudges or upsetting memories.
Mm.
When they're ready to arise, they will. But in the meantime, learn to appreciate their absence. Appreciate what it feels like when they aren't present. The beauty of this is that energy is implicated in everything we do. So anytime we can drop in and invite a line of questioning as to what is needed to work with what's present skillfully. And when we do that, it's for our welfare. It's for our benefit. But the first order of business always is going to be noticing what is happening. This in and of itself is a skill. We tend to move through our day a lot on automatic pilot, which means that we're not fully in what it is we are doing or what it is we are saying. We are learning how to wake up attention such that we know what we are doing as we are doing it. Develop the skill of noticing what is happening. Develop the habit of looking and noticing. And when you've gotten caught, see what you've gotten caught in, and also see what is worth continuing. Is what you are doing leading you in the direction of less suffering and more ease of well-being, or not? Feel for that answer. So first, learn to notice the signs and then learn to read the signs. Read them enough that you notice what is happening. Take a breath and adjust accordingly. Moment by moment, let's keep learning how to make little course corrections, right? Little course corrections. Let's keep steering the boat in the direction of freedom, of less stress and more ease of well-being. We can do this. It's for our welfare, and I assure you, it is for the welfare of everyone you encounter. Thank you. Thank you so much for your kind attention. All right. Now we're going to put it all together and try to practice with this, okay? So with kind eyes, with a warm heart, turn the attention to what it feels like in this body and see what needs to be opened up, what needs to be lightened up. Make some space. Play. Feel inside, feel where it feels tight and cranky, and then open those areas up. Find ways of doing that. Take your time. Feel into a comfortable posture. See if you can let go of the outside distractions and very deliberately and kindly turn the attention to the interior. What does breathing feel like from in there? See if there's a way to open it up, to soften around, to help it to feel more comfortable. And now soften the gaze and feel into the whole of the body as it's sitting here, breathing. And settle back and watch how it settles on its own. With kind eyes and a warm heart, let's form the intention for the next little while to keep moving in the direction of less stress, less tension, and feel into the experience of more comfort and ease. And let the feel be the guide. kindly watch over, letting go of stress and feeling for ease of well-being. And in the last few minutes of the meditation, can you settle back a little bit more? Relax the posture just a bit and feel into a receptive mode of attending. Receive the breath. No need to work for it. This moment, alive, awake, aware. Alone, and much to our great good fortune, together.